Okay. What is good, visionaries? Jason Osborne, JL Vision, back again with another video. And today, well, I'm opening this box up right now because it has something that I use almost every time I shoot an event. I would say there is no almost. I do use this every single time I shoot events. And if you haven't guessed what it is, well, it is a speed light, okay? We're gonna be talking about the best budget-friendly speed light for your event photography needs. Coming up. Okay, so if you're getting into event photography, if you haven't realized it already, you probably have realized you need to get some speed lights or some flashes. And you know, using speed lights or flashes for event photography is crucial because a lot of times events that you're shooting, they aren't going to have an adequate enough light for you to get some exposure, especially if it's indoors, like a wedding or a birthday party or anything like that. So it's very important to you know, go ahead and get yourself some sturdy, reliable speed lights or flashes so that you can really get the event covered properly. Now, this speed light that I use a lot, this is just actually a backup that I bought because I only have one of these and I'm really insecure about only having one of my speed lights. They're so important, especially during weddings or any kind of, you know, event, corporate events, anything that's happening indoors, you definitely want to have backup speed lights. So just a tip for you, always have a backup. This will be my second one of this flash, and this is the Godox V860II, and the C just stands for Canon. I think if you have a Nikon, it'll be an N. If you have a Sony, it'll be an S. So if you want to know which of these V862s you should go for, just look for the letter and that will represent the name brand of the camera that you're using. This is a TTL flash, meaning through the lens. So not only does this have manual settings and things like that, but it will also fire out a little beam to read the ambient light around you. It'll read your camera settings, and then it will adjust the power by itself to give you what it thinks will be an adequate exposure based on your camera settings and the light around you. Very helpful when you're in tricky situations or when you are switching from light to dark areas or where there's a lot of mixtures of different types of light. It can definitely help as well. Now, why do I like this V860II? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. One, the number one reason I got this flash is because it actually doubles as my trigger. It has a built-in trigger inside of it, so when I have my other off-camera flashes in the reception hall or in the corporate space or wherever I'm shooting an event, it will fire and also fire the other flashes around it. You can actually see the other flashes on the screen and control their power as well, which is very important as you're gonna start to realize when you're starting to shoot events, you're gonna be like, okay, cool, I have my one on-camera flash, awesome. But then you're gonna get to an event when you realize that on-camera flash just isn't enough, so then you're gonna be thinking, okay, I need other flashes, but how am I gonna trigger my other flashes and still have my on-camera flash? Well, this is the answer. Now, you don't have to buy this brand or anything like that, but it is always good to make sure that your on-camera flash does have the ability to trigger other off-camera flashes around it, so you don't have to worry about putting brackets on your camera or having a crazy setup just so that you can fire the on-camera flash, which you still will need, and the other flashes that are going to provide the ambient light around you. Now, it doesn't come with AA batteries. It takes a lithium battery pack. These things last for a good amount of time. I've bought a couple extra spares because when I am shooting a long event, like an 8-hour, 9-hour wedding, and I'm using this exclusively throughout the day, the battery will probably die after 8 or 9 hours of continuous use. I will give you that estimate right there. So you want to make sure that if you know you're going to be shooting a lot of long duration events, you should probably have a backup just ready to go. But the reason why I like this as well is because it does last and it recharges pretty fast, and I don't have to buy AA batteries for this. Now, I do have AA batteries for my manual flashes, and those are rechargeable as well, but just knowing that I have a battery pack for this just takes and saves some money with that. It is high-speed sync capable, so if you want to shoot faster than 1/200th of a second on your body camera, it will definitely do that, which is great for daytime shooting or anything like that. It does have rear curtain sync, so if you want to get some creative flash photography shots using rear curtain sync, it'll allow you to do that as well. You can find this flash for about $179, and that is a steal for all the functions that it comes with. A wireless trigger, e-ttl, wireless control functions, battery pack. All those functions usually, you know, you're getting a Nikon flash or a Canon flash, a name brand flash, you know, they're gonna be in the $300 to $400, $500 range. This is about $179. So if it does break on you, it'll be easy to replace. It's not gonna break the bank. Or if you're just starting to get into events and you're not too sure how much you wanna invest in your flash photography, I will say that this is a great flash to use. So now that I talked to you about my favorite budget-friendly, you know, flash for event photography, let's talk about how to use your flashes. Even if you don't have this one, they all pretty much run the same. I'm just gonna give you some basic general tips, all right? Now, I'm not gonna go too crazy into the stops of light and the stops of power that, you know, the flashes will put out, but I'm gonna make this very easy for everyone to understand, okay? On your flash, you're probably gonna see a number, a fraction number, 1/128, all the way down to 1/1. I'll tell you this right now, 1/1 is the most powerful setting on your flash, and 1/128 is the most weakest setting. You'll get a faster recycle time with your flash, the weaker the power output is. So if you're at 1/128, it'll probably be ready to flash right after you click the shutter. But if you're at 1:1, depending on the flash that you're using, you know, it might take 1 to 2 seconds before you're ready to use another flash. So just that's something to keep in mind. The more power you use, the slower the recycle time. All right. When it comes to e-ttl, I find that I get the best results when my camera is in evaluative mode, as far as the sensor picking up the light and reading the light and putting the exposure into the camera. Now, if you're a Nikon or a Sony shooter, I'm sure that you have your own versions of evaluative mode, but for Canon shooters, I would always try to put my camera into evaluative mode when using e-ttl flashes, because that's what I found that gives me the most consistent results. If you use something like spot metering, it could be a little wonky because it's only going to target that one specific area that the dot is over. And then even if you double take a shot, if you move your camera over to where the light is just simply a little bit different, it could affect your flash's output and give you an inconsistent result. So I would always try to use evaluative metering when it comes to using e-ttl flash. Now this flash does come with a bounce card and a little mini diffuser in front. All right, now I will say that I pretty much don't use any of these right here unless I absolutely need to. You never want to point your flash directly at your subject like that. You're always going to bounce around. Now, I've been shooting a lot of events lately where the ceilings have been really dark, where I mean it's not going to reflect light as well. If you have a black ceiling, that's always going to be a little bit more challenging because black absorbs light and it is not going to reflect anything. So you might actually have to use your bounce card to put a little flash onto your subject. But what I have found helps me is that instead of sticking your bounce card all the way up, because if anyone knows, the bounce card is just a cheap solution to get some flash onto your subject, but it's not that much better than actually firing at your subject like this. So what I've done is I always tend to put my bounce card up just a little bit less than halfway up. Maybe a little bit higher right there, and then I'll do that. That'll allow the initial light to go onto my subject and give me a good exposure while allowing most of it to escape and not be so harsh. Also, you might want to think about, let me get it, getting one of these. Now, I might do a little review on this lately. The reason why I haven't yet is because I've only used it once since I got it, but I invested in a light sphere. This is a Gary Fong flash diffuser. You put this right on top of your speedlight like that. And basically it helps control the light, it helps soften the light, and it helps you get better exposures when you're using your speedlight. This is something that I will talk about in probably the next video or two once I get a little bit more experience with it. I am using it tomorrow for an event, so look out for that. But if you are having some trouble diffusing your light or making that your speedlight, on-camera speedlight flash is soft, you might want to think about getting a diffuser for it. There's tons of diffusers out there. I think this even came with one in the box. It did. a little tiny diffuser that you just sit right on top, this little plastic one, and that's just gonna soften the light. You know, if you're doing event photography, you wanna be prepared. You wanna be prepared for anything. My number one advice is to make sure you have backups of all your flashes, even if you know you're not gonna use them. If you have 2 backups of the main flashes that you use, that'd be great. So I use this one for my on-camera flash, this is my backup for my on-camera flash, and I also have backups for my manual flashes that are on the stands around wherever I place them in the event. Because when the lights go down and everyone's starting to party, you want to make sure that you can adequately light them and not have super noisy pictures. Leave a comment in the section below if you have any questions about this Godox V860. There is also a Godox V850, just to let you know. And the only difference between this one and the 850 is that this one has TTL and the 850 is only manual. So that's just a heads up, just in case anyone's wondering. If you have a comment or a question or anything else like that, like I said before, leave it in the comment section below, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I am trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We got 1 month before the end of the year, so if you could share the videos or if you could spread the channel, I appreciate every one of you that come back week after week like I always say, because you guys are my visionaries. I do appreciate that. So please make sure you subscribe if this is your first time in the channel. Thank you for coming by and watching my videos, and I hope to see you guys again for the next video. Anyway, this is Jason Osborne, J.O. Vision, and I will see you guys on the next video. Talk to y'all later. Peace.